Hey everyone, welcome back to Google Workspace Recap, your number one source for everything Workspace by the tabGeeks Network. My name is Jesse Nolan, my co-host is Steve Larson, and we're here to help you keep up. Yes, we're back to regular speed for the intro.
I was going to say, Charles, we're back to the fast intro.
Google Next registration is now available, folks. The early bird discount is there. It is heavily discounted, but it is only available until the end of the month or until it sells out, whichever comes first. Yes. So Steve is booked. I need to book mine shortly, and hopefully my home life will be settled to the point so that I can attend, but it's not easy getting away these days with baby twins here at home, but here's hoping. Steve, you looking forward?
I am. Maybe it might be worth reaching out and seeing if you can refund it or transfer it to someone else. That might be something to think
probably.
about.
Yeah, I'll probably send somebody else on the team anyway, just because, it's best to have people there, especially on the team and whatnot.
Just so at least two.
Yeah. It's in the past, and I'm really excited to get back to regular in person because when it's so hard to pay attention for me personally, and I imagine many of our listeners are similar. It's so hard to pay attention to just video streamed conferences, and sure, I can listen to them at 2x speed, but it's not the same. And there's no hallway sessions that happen, which are, in my opinion, the most valuable that occur when you actually go. The people you talk to, and the devs, the product leaders, the PMs that you actually get to engage with by being there in person cannot possibly happen on the stream. So very, very excited and hoping to be able to go there in person.
Yeah, speaking of all the devs and PMs, I nearly had some of my GitHub pull requests added to the Google repository for the grab and go code base, but then they couldn't figure it out because they were on the local network, so they couldn't commit it, my pull request, so they had to do it themselves for some reason, or something like that.
So close.
It's like, yeah.
Well, if you don't get that FaceTime, you're never going to get another opportunity. So gotta go in person.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if we do manage to go in person, then of course we will bring all of the gear. I just got new DJI wireless microphones. I got a new DJI action cam. I'm always getting new toys and new gear and things like that. So, not to mention, as I showed on the other show we were on, I'm ready. I got my mic. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, it'd be great, broadcast live and bring you all the updates from the show floor, like some of our counterparts have done over the years. Be a huge step forward for us, and Steve and I meeting in person for the first time will be pretty cool.
Has anyone focused on Workspace, a live reporting? No one has, right?
No. I imagine 9 to 5 maybe has, but I don't know if they had people there or they were just basing it off of the news that was coming out of the press releases. I'm picturing being.
We should reach out for press tickets.
That's a good point. We should.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Hey, anybody over at Google who has any kind of influence over the next team, if you're listening, let us know, hook us up, help us out, please.
We've got the email to the press team. We spoke to them, actually. We had some calls with them.
But more firepower from internal is always helpful. So, no, I'm picturing I went to Dell World years ago, and the Cube, which is a mega enterprise level based publication, had a literal news booth broadcasting live, like a football studio level news booth, broadcasting live from the show floor with various guests, and you could walk by them, like Good Morning America, and be in the background, and I was in a couple of those streams just by walking by, not even knowing it was there, and they were interviewing the CEO of Dell, Michael Dell himself, and they were interviewing a bunch of different executives and product leaders from that conference. And so I would love to be able to do that at Google Workspace. That's been a dream of mine for a long time, and then frickin' COVID happened, so that went out the window for a while, but now we're back. Let's do it. Have your people call.
Yeah, I was speaking to one of the guys from the Cube, one of the presenters. So I was getting some insight into the events from him.
That's cool.
A couple years back. Yeah. All right. We were looking at here. Lots of news this week.
Biggest news segment ever for us.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And then some pretty solid updates. Just 4 of them though, but all very good, I think, in my opinion. Yeah, really good ones, solid ones. So going through those, first update that we had this week is that there's now a new space manager capabilities in Google Chat. Woohoo! Yeah, there's an external label for Google Meet participants just to help you recognize who is not from your org, just in case someone's trying to sneak in. And you can now provide custom Google Meet background images for your users. And with Google Cloud Session Controls, some improved security there is going to be released with shorter session lengths, and some important things to keep an eye out there especially for all of you GAM users out there. Some special things to take note of. We'll talk about that when we get to it. And then in the news, so biggest one there that we talked about already is that the Google Next registration is now available, and prices for that are discounted at the moment until the end of the month. And it looks like partners are able to get that same pricing though all throughout the lead up to the event. So if you are a partner, it looks like you get that pricing all the time by the looks of things. There's a lot of AI updates here coming out of the news here for Google. Next generation for the next generation of AI for developers in Google Workspace, which is an article there from Google themselves, and along with another article here about a new era for AI and Google Workspace. So one being the kind of overarching AI announcement for cloud and workspace, and I think there's another one here for just the workspace side of things. And next one here, a Verge article about Google is backing Anthropic. Google-backed Anthropic launches Claude, an AI chatbot that's easier to talk to. There we go. Just trying to get the terminology there in terms of are we talking about a product here or company? What's going on?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. All right, Business Insider here talking about Google Workspace hitting 9 million paying organizations.
Really competitive.
Yeah, another Google article here about what someone here has learned from more than 2,000 customers looking to innovate in the cloud. And then Wall Street Journal and a few others have reported the demise of yet another Google product, this one being Google Glass going away. Yet again. Yes. There's a review here on YouTube about the HP Dragonfly. Jesse, is that yours? I mean, because it's...
No, that's not one of mine. It's Chrome Unboxed.
Oh, I was going to say. Saw some... this shameless plug here for another tabGeeks video.
There will be, but
soon.
One is one that I don't have hands-on yet with. It's the Dragonfly Pro. I only have the Dragonfly Elite.
Ooh,
2 different devices.
Okay. Got it. Next is that there's a 9 to 5 article here about the Google Logout, the shape and color of Google AI.
Google Logout is their newsletter name.
Oh.
So,
okay. Not heard of that.
Yeah, it's new.
Got
they
it.
just rebooted it.
Okay. Logged out and rebooted. Got it. Makes sense. Google Cloud community here talking about getting enterprise ready with Google Meet. And then finally, a Verge article about the Pixel Fold is reportedly coming in June.
Along with all of the other Pixels or something.
Yeah, I mean, as if we weren't alluding to that already with all the updates we saw around multi-screen Androids and things like that. So kind of expected to see that one coming. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of I'm wondering, am I going to get this? I mean,
$1,500 I recently saw is going to likely be rumored to list at.
I don't know. I just got the Pixel 8 or 7. What is it? The 7? 7 Pro.
Well, I did see also that there's a new color of Pixel Buds coming out, so you're going to have to get those also. Because you have all the other colors.
I like this color. It's my favorite color.
Yeah, the orange ones. Rust.
Yeah.
Whatever that color is.
No, it's coral.
Coral, that's right. I should have known. That's the Google reddish, orangish, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Getting into that first update here, we have that improved capabilities for space managers, some new options for those of you who are the manager of a space. What you'll be able to do is have some controls over the configuration. So things like being able to update the space details, like the name, icon description, and guidelines, or turn chat history on and off for the space. Also member management, so it'll allow space managers to decide if members can add or remove members or groups to a space. And then also whether or not all your users can use the at all mention in the space. So
Yay.
Some welcomed enhancements there.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been using some of the new inline threading in a few more places and still not getting used to it. That's for sure.
Can't take it.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
I don't know if you noticed, I created a chat with you and another Googler that we're getting ready to have on the show, and I made a point of doing it on the topics-based threaded, not the new.
Thank you.
New version.
Thank you for that.
So you're welcome.
Saved
Consideration for you.
Thanks. Well, for this welcomed update, one that we do appreciate, rollout for this one is going to be starting on the 13th of March for rapid release domains on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility there. And then on the 27th of March, the scheduled release domains, we'll start to see that also on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility. It's going to be available to all Workspace customers, as well as the legacy G Suite Basic and Business. But I don't think there's any more legacy G Suite Basic or Business customers out there, because I got my email for my domain last week, and I believe they have transitioned everyone now. Automatically, it was transitioned. You were forced to Workspace, and I think that's for everyone now. So I don't think there's any legacy G Suite customers out there anymore. Not sure.
Moment of silence.
Not available. Yeah, I don't know if it's available to, it's also not available to personal Google accounts. All right. Next, the ability to see whether or not a user is external in a Google Meet in the participant list. So, just like you see that external icon on your emails when you're sending an email to someone external to the org, which I believe most organizations have that enabled. I think that is on by default for everyone. I don't think there's a way to turn that off. So I think that is visible to everyone. So you should be familiar with that icon. It is that yellow goldish icon of a building with a cross through it. And external labels will be on by default. Looks like it can be configured in the admin settings there. I don't know why you would not want to have it on. Pretty important bit of information there about your participants. And rollout for this one started the 14th of March for rapid release domains, on a very quick full rollout up to 1 to 3 days for visibility there. Scheduled release domains, we'll see this a little bit later, starting a couple days on the 23rd of March, on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility. It is available to almost everyone here. They do list out a whole bunch of SKUs, but essentially what it looks like is it is available to everyone other than personal Google accounts. So, yeah.
A little bit interesting in the screenshot here. And I don't know if this is just an oversight or if they were trying to show this, but they've got Joe Carlson invited here, is in as in the call as
mode. I see that.
Well, they have one not in companion mode that is internal, and then they have companion mode that is external, and then they have also invited Joe Carlson from, I guess, The Office, SE-STO-KUN, which looks like an Office designation, and then they have another one for him. So I don't know why Joe Carlson has been invited so many times to this meeting, but apparently they really want him and all of his accounts to attend.
Yes, but I think this is a great showcase of what can happen.
So you think it was done on purpose here? It's like, hey, Joe Carlson is joining from his non-internal device in companion mode.
That's right. Well, he's been invited. Joe Carl, he's been invited, and on both an internal account as well as an external account. And it looks like the optional Joe Carlson, the STO con. I mean, that looks like a meeting room, but why would it a meeting room? That one's a little unusual. And he's also he's in the call, but also invited on another account. It's
Yep.
also into the organization. So that's a little bit excessive. You're right, a little bit excessive.
They really want Joe Carlson to attend.
Yeah. And is it me, or does Joe and Jackson look very similar?
Joe and Jackson. Where's Jackson?
They're right next to each other in the image. They look very similar, don't they?
Oh,
or is that just me?
Yeah. No. I think it's just you. No, I was going to comment the other funny thing about this. No, I was going to comment the other funny thing about this is the person on the People tab here under Joe Carlson is Aaron Kirkpatrick, long name something.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know if we should be analyzing the Google screenshots as much as we do here.
No cow on the ice. You got that? You got that as well? Yep. They're talking. So, yeah. And I'm just like, I'm trying to look at, I mean, it's just weird because it has Josh Jordan in the picture, right? Josh is not on the list of attendees. Right? Nita Duffy's also on the list.
Alexis Lim is talking, and we don't see her in the call. This is a weird screenshot, folks.
Yeah.
We've got problems with it.
Yeah. Because it's showing Alexis Lim talking on the image of people, but then Aaron and the no cow are the speakers according to the right hand side. Where's
Alexander Pitt, who is external and invited but not actually showing up? He is muted, but he's not on the screen.
Yeah.
I think at this point we're just screwing with the Google Updates blog team who does the screenshots here.
Yeah. Can tell that one was definitely
but it is
together.
a good sized screenshot, so I appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Onward.
All right. I think we talked about the release dates on that one. Yes, we did. Available to pretty much everyone. That is everyone. It is available to everyone other than personal accounts. And next on the updates, we can now provide custom Google Meet background images for your users. Sweet. So a long-awaited update. Jesse, you're going to be disappointed, though. I'm sorry.
This GIF is
so tiny. So
tiny. It's postage stamp sized.
It is. Yeah.
Itty bitty.
Teeny tiny. Ugh. Sorry about that. But admins can start to provide a set of images for the background replace feature in Meet and to enable users to easily select that image that properly represents their company's specific brand and style.
It's not even tiny. It's so tiny that the meeting name is fuzzy. It's illegible. Like, seriously, folks, it's a 470 by 270 GIF.
Someone one time.
Sorry, 430 by 270. Even smaller. Oh my God. So no, make it stop.
All right. Sorry, Jesse.
We're
going to have
garbage on the YouTube video.
Yeah, we're going to see if
Spotify.
See if we can make our own animations here, record them.
Not with unreleased features.
Yeah, I guess not. All right.
I mean, sure, if we have it in the alpha, maybe, but
yeah. Well, rollout for this one is already started, so you might already have it. So it was on the 14th of March on an extended rollout for both wrap release and schedule release domains. Available to all Workspace customers as well as any stragglers on G Suite. Yep. And then finally, some improved security with shorter session lengths on Google Cloud services. So this could be impactful to some organizations, quite a bit substantially here, as well as those of you who are using like command line tools and services like GAM or any other services that may be doing some automation for you. So this only applies though if your current Google Cloud session length is set to never expire. So if your organization has the least secure setting, which I believe was the default at one point and you have never changed it, then you will be forced into a 16-hour session length. Now, the interesting thing about this is if your users have logged into the cloud platform and they have it currently set to never expire, well, their login may never expire, and therefore it may never get reset to the 16 hours. However, although the article talks about it, this is not connections to Google services like Gmail on the web, for example. This is just for Google Cloud Services. There is somewhat of a correlation between the two. And the reason why I say that is because if your Google Workspace session length is also set to never expire, and your Google Cloud session length is never to expire, well, this is never going to affect you because the user is going to always be logged in unless they specifically say, log out. They manually log out. Those of you, though, that have a Workspace session length that is less than never expiring, which most of you should probably have something like 14 days, I'd imagine, it will kind of correlate to how many days left the person has with their Workspace session length as to when this new cloud session will apply to them. Because if the user gets logged out of Google, then their session length for that should reset, and then I think that would then also reset the cloud services session length. So definitely something to keep an eye on and test and check here, because those are all possible things that could happen there in terms of the session links and how they're linked together. So make sure that if you do want to better enforce the session length, you may need to force people to sign out and then sign back in so that that 16-hour session applies to the users. If that makes any sense. Hopefully that made some sense to everyone. The other important thing here to note is that for those applications that are using OAuth and command line authentication, like GAM, for example, you will need to make sure that you add the application ID to your trusted list of applications if you don't want users or that connection to break, to sever, to need to be re-authenticated manually, because without that application ID being added to trusted apps, it will have the 16-hour session timeout, therefore requiring some manual intervention. So make sure you go through your list of apps and add them into your trusted list so that they would be exempt from this 16-hour session length change. All right. I think that covers everything there. There's some things that talks about third-party SAML, identity providers, and session length controls. Some details there. It talks about the trusted applications, which I mentioned. You may want to add those so that the session length doesn't apply. And looking at rollout for this one. When is this? Oh, this is weird. The rollout pace is in tiny font. Okay, so this is something you got to keep an eye on right now as you're listening to this. Like, go check this setting right now, because it started rolling out the 15th of March on an extended rollout up to, on potentially longer than 15 days for feature visibility for both rapid release and scheduled release domains. So it may have hit your org already, and you may have already had some users complaining. Most likely it's probably admins and developers, so they kind of know what's going on with this kind of stuff in general. So hopefully it shouldn't be too bad of an impact. But again, for tools and services that may need to be always connected, it could cause some challenges within the organization there for this. All right, that is all from me on the updates. Jesse, I'm going to go make a coffee and sit back, relax, read the paper while you read the news.
All right, let's get comfy, folks. Anybody who's interested in what's going on here, massage after 2 days of networking, rebuilding a network at an office. All right, let's get into the news, folks. The first one up here is Google Next 2023 is now available for you to purchase your tickets. Two things to note here that we haven't really said before. One is that there is a digital pass that will be coming for those of you who cannot attend in person. Hopefully, I'm not one of them, and I will be able to attend in person because that would be wonderful. But it looks like they are going full hybrid here and being able to do the in-person conference pass, which currently is $899, but retails normally for $1599. So if you do not buy the early bird special, then you'll be paying most likely the full price. And once again, that pricing expires May 31st, 2021. The digital pass includes live stream access plus chat, which is cool. Nice to have chat on the side there. On-demand content, post-live event, which means that you can watch it whenever you really want. And access to the Developer Hub, which I imagine everyone is going to get access to anyway. And I'm curious, but I imagine that everyone is probably also going to get access to the on-demand content for no matter which ticket you get. In the full conference pass, just in addition to the 3 days of live on-site access to all the keynotes, 200 plus breakout sessions, access to exclusive product roadmap sessions, exclusive one-on-one meet the expert consultations, access to live demos, access to Developer Hub, just like the digital pass, and over 200 ecosystem partners, exclusive swag and giveaways. And the other thing I want to note here is an interesting one. It looks like once again Google is taking inspiration from us. They have a new event called Next After Dark, including evening concert, late night labs, and more. So I think that Troy and us need to go and attend that and serve them for copyright infringement on copyrights that we don't actually have, but we were the first to say, Google Workspace After Dark. So I think that they're just they're just pulling off of us, and obviously they think that we are a bunch of geniuses when it comes to naming and marketing here. So they're just taking all of our names, such as the end of week recap. So we're just gonna put that over there. Also, you have full access to Next on Air and on-demand content. So that is going to be, as I was saying before, included as the digital pass and so much more. So if you haven't bought your ticket, definitely go and do it. It's going to be one hell of a show. I fully expect this to be a major return to in-person events. This is, as we said in our SaaS Showdown show, not me, but Rose and Colin. If you aren't following us, go and check that out, SaaS Showdown.
That's a big nod to other conferences too, to be like, hey, let's go in person again.
Yeah. And all the hotels are like, yes, we can quadruple our prices
all
for
the
a week.
hotels and all the airlines are like, yes, thank God.
That it's going to be a huge return to in-person conferences.
Yeah. I was at the developer conference.
This is the beginning.
Yeah, I was at the developer conference last week. Another bit of info for those of you that maybe didn't notice, there was the developer conference in Toronto and also in Chicago.
Yep.
And the room was packed. It was full. It was 100 people there. Yeah, there was barely a spare seat to be had in this room. So I am definitely expecting a pretty big turnout for next. Later this year.
And this was as Colin and Rose said in SaaS Showdown, all the hotels were like, oh, thank God we can all triple our rates and get back to business as tech conference season is upon us, and it is in person finally once again. So last but not least, the dates of Google Next 2023 is August 29th to the 31st and is going to be at the world famous Moscone Center in San Francisco. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, go and do that. Now, if you have been not watching our show for the last, 6 months that we have been talking about AI and all of the competitors that are out there and a certain ChatGPT and a unnamed Microsoft search engine, Google is finally talking about what they're bringing to the party, and more than just a little blip of an announcement in which they actually got one of the facts wrong and caused their stock to go way down to the basement. So Google has announced a whole bunch of updates here, both for developers and for Google Apps. Now, for on Google Apps, wow, I was thinking Gen Apps, which is what they're calling it, but for Google Workspace. So on the Google Workspace side, you have new generative AI features, which is basically ChatGPT being, Google's version of ChatGPT, Google's generative AI, being harnessed for doing work for you in Google Workspace. And the demonstration that they show here is if you're starting a document, and the example that they give is a sales representative job description, and you can just type "help me write," and it puts together a job post for a regional sales rep, and it just boom, it pulls it and it shows right up there. And I know people, my wife, for example, who is a CTO, is using ChatGPT for this today, was looking for a full layout and outline for internal employee reviews and job postings and things like that, and it spits it right out also on the ChatGPT side. So Google is definitely showing up in a big way here. This looks fantastic. I'm very excited for this, and there's going to be a lot more information coming through. But essentially, they are calling it Gen Apps over on the Workspace side, and you're going to have a number of different things. And I think the next article that I have goes into this more in depth. For the devs out there, you're going to want to take a look at Palm API Maker Suite, which they call an approachable way to explore and prototype with generative AI applications. So if you're building and you want to take advantage of Gen Apps, ChatGPT style responses, conversational AI in your applications, this is what Google is hoping that you're going to use, and is in the traditional googly way, will probably start out with the basics, and then iteratively, is that a word? It is now, get better over time as they continue building it out. It does say here, select developers can access the Palm API and Maker Suite in private preview today, and stay tuned for our waitlist soon. I am working over on the cloud innovator side, of which I am a member, to try and get some early access to all of this so that I can give you a little bit of first-person feedback and experience, and maybe do a couple of videos on what that looks like depending on what Google allows me to share. But we shall definitely see. A couple more things that we have here is the additional AI capabilities or generative AI capabilities in the Google Cloud AI portfolio is Vertex AI. Developers and businesses already use Google Cloud's Vertex AI platform to build and deploy machine learning models and AI applications at scale. They are now providing foundational models initially for generating text and images, and over time with audio and videos. Google Cloud customers will also have the ability to discover models, create and modify prompts, fine-tune them with their own data, and deploy applications that use these powerful new technologies. So Google is really going big here on this, and I haven't really seen anything coming from Microsoft that's talking about using at this level beyond just what they've already built out with Bing. I am confident it is coming, as is all of the rest of the generative AI Office integrations as well. Another thing they have here is a generative AI app builder. So again, businesses and governments are going to want to also build, or who also want to build their own AI-powered chat interfaces and digital assistants will be able to do this in the generative AI app builder. And they're also announcing, that they are the most open cloud provider. Okay, that's nothing new. They're expanding their AI ecosystem and specialized programs for technology partners, AI-focused software providers, and startups. But the biggest news here is that there is a whole lot of generative AI technology being brought to the front of the show, and they're going to be definitely showing it off at Google I/O, which is coming very soon, and Google Next, which we just talked about, is coming as well. So that's the first article that I have talking about that. The next article that I have talking about that is the blog post over on Google Workspace, workspace.google.com/blog, under product announcements and generative AI, is a new era for AI and Google Workspace. And so this goes into a little bit of history. 25 years, they've been building amazing products from search, maps, Gmail, docs, all the things we love and use. And now they are building out Gen Apps. And the goal here is to allow you to draft, reply, summarize, and prioritize your Gmail automatically. You'll be able to brainstorm, proofread, write, and rewrite in docs. You'll be able to bring your creative vision to life with auto-generated images, audio, and video in slides. You'll be able to go from raw data to insights and analysis via auto-completion, formula generation, and contextual categorization in Sheets. You'll be able to generate new backgrounds and capture notes in Meet, and you'll also be able to enable workflows for getting things done in Chat. Now, here's the thing. Google is basically saying that they are going to be bringing all of the current various different types of AI models, whether it's text, it's music, it's images, it's automation, all into the Office suite that we know and love that is Google Workspace. And from what they've shown us here, it is already very, very good. Traditionally for Google, as I was saying before, they do tend to start out with some of the basics there and sometimes an underwhelming offering. And over time, all of a sudden you blink and it is the single best by a mile offering on the market. And I think that's going to be a similar strategy they're going to have here. Obviously, they're showing up in a big way after they had declared code red. And as evidenced by the fact that there were only 4 updates this week and no silent updates this week, a lot of the teams have their heads down working heavily on integrating AI into the rest of Workspace. So a lot of things happening behind the scenes here. But the goal here of what they're showing off, whether this is actually a finished product or a mostly finished product, or just something that they put together for showing off what they are building, it is trying to essentially take away all of the things that take us forever to do that don't need to be done manually by hand anymore, such as writing out drafts. Excuse me. Writing out drafts or doing research or trying to figure out how best to put together a report. It's just going to do all of that for us. And they also show this happening on mobile, which is pretty freaking cool because you're going to be able to do this in an email. It shows on Gmail to compose an email on mobile, which I don't think I've seen from the other players in the market here. It's just a tab that says help me write, and you can formalize it, or you can do formatting for it, or what else are they showing in the screenshot here? Once it's there, you can obviously go ahead and edit whatever's there. You have the classic I'm feeling lucky button from Google, which will presumably just spit out what it thinks is the best possible option for you there. So going to be a lot of fun to play with all of this. Going to try and get, obviously I've signed up for all of the lists that I could find that are early access, and I'm working on all of our channels behind the scenes to be able to get access to this so that we can report on whatever they'll let us talk about, because this is a huge step forward for Google, and they weren't the first to the punch here, but we are glad that they, or at least I am, that they are showing up in a huge way, because I think this is a massive step forward for computing in general, but definitely for Workspace and for getting things done across the board. Now, the next article that we have here is an interesting one because I didn't see everyone reporting that it was Google backed. They just started saying, hey, AI startup Anthropic launches Claude. And I was like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. Right. Google invested in them similarly to, or at least I think it's similarly to how Microsoft invested in OpenAI, which is the makers of ChatGPT 4. But anyway, so Google has invested in this company called Anthropic, and they have launched their own AI chatbot that is apparently easier to talk to. This is a Verge article. If you want to learn more about it, you can go ahead and read the whole article. But essentially, Google invested $300 million into them back in February, so a little bit later of a start here in terms of investments into AI companies, but Google was also involved in OpenAI, so I suppose that they were in on that as well, which also leads us to believe, as we've said in the last several weeks here, that Google is not just in the dark when it comes to AI or just getting started. They've been on this and have really pioneered many of the advancements that we've seen in AI over the years. So anyway, if you're curious about what Anthropic is up to, go and check that out. I'm not going to beleaguer the point. Is that the right word for that? Continue the point even further because I've been talking about AI for God knows how long here. So onward. Next is a celebratory article here, in my opinion, from Insider, which I generally don't like sharing because their articles are really hard to read, especially if you don't pay for it. But the key point here is that Google Workspace, which they tell us is an office software suite, good to know, hits 9 million paying organizations. So there are 9 million of us, or of companies such as the ones we work for, that are paying for Google Workspace, which I don't know how that really compares to Microsoft because I haven't pulled the numbers, but that's pretty huge. I love how they go into this here in the article. Workspace, formerly known as G Suite. Stop calling it G Suite. Just let it die, people. Just call it Workspace. Anyway, has grown to 3 billion users as of October 2021, and that was already a year and change ago. So lots of companies using this, and that's a huge milestone for them. The Google Workspace unit surpassed $7 billion in revenue in the fourth quarter of 2022. Apparently, it's still unprofitable. Actually, I think that's Google Cloud entirely, which makes sense because Google is really trying to catch the rest of the industry and are just spending money like crazy because, well, this is huge. This is where they should be, and infrastructure is enormous. And honestly, we wouldn't be here if we didn't think that their cloud and their products were better. So here we are. Okay, deep breath. I'm going to take a drink. 1 second.
Yeah, I've got it in it. So at the developer conference that I was at last week, talking about AI tools that is available now internally to Googlers. One of the Googlers there, Mark Spates, who's the director of product management for Google Workspace, was actually talking about all of the blogs that he's now been able to write because he's just had the internal AI tool write it for him. And he spends about a half an hour writing a bunch of blog posts. And if you want to read some of those articles that have been written and generated by AI, head over to thegenai.co.
Amazing.
So check that out. That is from Googler who I met last week. And I'll add that in the notes so you can check that out. And also I'll add his Twitter handle.
And he hasn't edited these at all? He has just written them in the Gen AI and posted them?
I don't know how much editing
Presumably
may have
the images here are also from there.
They are, yes, they're also
because
AI
they very much
generated.
look like
Yes.
AI gen images.
They're either AI generated or they are AI suggested, and they're linked to it.
Interesting. Okay, this is good because there's a bunch of companies out there that were starting to use this, such as CNET and others. That so much to the point that some short form story magazines and others have banned articles that come from generative apps. And I don't here's the thing though. Like in my experience with ChatGPT, which I use, I guess pretty regularly, at least once a week. It's a starting point. It's not perfect. Nothing it says should be taken as fact. You should definitely double check all of that. But I'm curious to see how Google does with this. So this is an interesting little peek behind the curtain. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right. Next article here is from Miles Ward. When Miles Ward talks, we listen. Miles is a phenomenal genius when it comes to the world of cloud computing and next generation technology, who has an unbelievably storied career, including NASA, the Obama administration, AWS, now Google Cloud, not even now Google Cloud, now SADA, where he is the CTO, and one of the best, if not the best presenter I've ever seen in person. Just real solid visionary here. So that's why when he wrote an article for the Google Cloud blog, said what I've learned from more than 2,000 customers looking to innovate in the cloud, I most definitely was going to include it here and take a look. Now, obviously it is a little bit on the marketing side, but it does go into a couple of key points here that may help organizations that are getting started. And now granted, a lot of the organizations he works with, like the U.S. Army, for example, are slightly larger than a lot of our organizations here, such as mine, which only has 550 employees, doesn't even, come close to the things that he deals with, but still good things to take into account here as industry standards. Number one being unify your data and improve conversions across sales and marketing. Number two, adopt SaaS solutions where you can, or as I would say, everywhere you can. And if you are interested in learning more about SaaS, then you should listen to our other show or watch our other show, SaaS Showdown, as I mentioned earlier, available everywhere you get podcasts and, of course, on our YouTube channel. Number three is extract data with an API. Number four is enhance cloud security with logging. Yeah, that's a big one. Building your organization's personalized engine of innovation. These are a few examples of where your transformation could begin. Your starting move will vary based on your existing IT investments, business requirements, and the specific issues you want to address first. So if you're curious in all of those headlines or all of those primary topics in what he's done with over 2,000 different organizations moving to the cloud, go and check out that article. And definitely, if you ever get the opportunity to see him speak live, go. It's going to be awesome. All right, raise a glass, pour one out. Google Glass is dead, or is about to be. Google Glass, for those who don't know, has still been around as the Enterprise Edition. And in fact, there was even a beta for a next version that they were working on for more deeper level integration that came out a little while ago. And it seems that the powers that be at Google, as they continue reorganizing or cutting different things, different areas, different projects, and different departments, it seems that Google Glass didn't have what it takes to stay on as a major project for the company. So they will be shutting this down in the next couple of months. And trying to find the exact date here. I had it before. Apologies. Sorry, I'm reading the Wall Street Journal article on this that I have linked in the comments. The interesting thing here is that it's still working on other augmented reality products and, Android AI level tech and whatnot. But Google Glass, and this is not surprising to anybody who's used Glass or really followed its arc over the years, it's a funky setup, and especially when you look at today's glasses, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's more of an edge case, something that was designed with a very, 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 very futuristic look that didn't exactly pan out, and may one day pan out in a similar iteration, but nowhere near close to what it was able to do today with the amount of small little tech that was in the headset. So not surprising here. Maybe it was another article that I saw the shutdown date. Regardless, they said that they would support customers who had questions for the next several months. I don't remember exactly when. They can include that in the show notes. But that is the end of an era here for a company that used to take more risks and launched their own virtual reality, or in this case, augmented reality glasses at a time when nobody was even looking at augmented reality. So, end of an era, pour one out, etc., etc.
Yeah, still might be worth, like I said, picking up a few before they all disappear.
Well, I want to grab one off of eBay just as just to have a memento.
Yeah.
Because I used to have one. Business I was working with, it wasn't mine; it belonged to the business. But I wore it for a month straight. Building out concepts and experiences. We were doing app development for it at the time, and that was a long time ago. Good times. But yeah, it'd be really cool. I want the red one. I think that was the most iconic look. Yeah.
There's a blue one, sky blue one I'm looking at right now on eBay.
That was a nice one. Yeah. How much is it on eBay?
$250.
$250?
Yep.
That's an expensive trophy, but might be worth it.
Or best offer.
Does it work?
I think it works if you can get the app.
I would buy it just for parts.
Sideloaded.
Yeah. Well, if you get it set up with a phone now, maybe if you don't touch either of them, I don't know. All right, onward. HP came out at CES with the Dragonfly Pro Chromebook, and Chrome Unboxed is calling it, quote, the no contest king of Chromebooks. And to be honest, I am not surprised in the slightest. I have and used the Dragonfly Elite on almost a daily here. I was using it today. And the trackpad is the single best trackpad outside of my MacBook Pro that I have ever used, and is just a pleasure to operate. The whole thing just is very professional. It's very well built, very, very well set up. Good amount of ports and feel and design and whatnot. I haven't gotten my hands on the new Dragonfly Pro. I don't know how much it is really meant for professionals, even though it's got the Pro name. It's got, a backlit, color-changing RGB keyboard for gamers, if I'm not mistaken. So a little bit interesting on the branding here, where they chose Elite versus Pro, etc. But like anything else, it's a gorgeous device. It's designed really, really well, and they have a really sleek black version, sparkling black, I think they call it, which is just so nice looking. So I'm definitely going to have to go and find this at some point. Maybe they'll have a bunch at Next if I don't get a chance to see them sooner. But we're seeing here the transition of Google moving out of competitor and into more design partners, so they can work with companies like HP, Asus, Acer, and help them to develop these products instead of competing against them, as well as trying to influence their designs here. So it's an interesting shift, and maybe one day Google will get back to competing like they do in the phone space. I don't know, but in the meantime, I'm very happy with what HP is putting out in terms of Chromebooks. So if you'd like to see that video from Chrome Unboxed, click the link down below. All right. Another one. This is an interesting article from 9to5Google. As we were saying before, it's from their newsletter that is called the 9to5Google Logout. And they are analyzing the look and feel, the shape and color of Google AI. And this is one of the things that they were taking away from this. They've seen it, as I mentioned before, Gmail on mobile. It's an area above your keyboard that you're able to bring up slides or areas that are titled Help Me Write, Formalize, Elaborate, Shorten, Bold Ties, I'm Feeling Lucky, copy and write a draft. It is very similar to the new design that just rolled out to the editors. So if you've been paying attention recently and you've opened up Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, you got to go listen to our rap to hear all the rest of them. Our rap video. Docs, Sheets, Slides, right. You'll notice and recognize, and it'll be a familiar design, and I imagine that design is going to continue rolling across the rest of the organization as well, as they continue to make it look more modern. But it seems to really, really flow well, and just more information on AI. But I feel like we've beaten that horse enough to death in this episode, so I'm going to move on. The next one here is an event. Now, like all of these events, I will make the caveat: it may be a little salesy, but there's always a lot of good tidbits in here. This one is get enterprise ready with Google Meet, and some of the things that are in here that are less salesy is see what's coming in 2023. So if you're not familiar with the roadmap, or if you don't have access to it, or if you want it presented in a easy to digest way, I imagine that's going to be in this event. So you'll be able to learn about the latest feature releases in Google Meet. Obviously, you are a genius and already know about them because you listen to Google Workspace or watch Google Workspace Recap every single week here, so you know what's coming. But this might be a good refresher for you. You'll be able to see what's coming in 2023. You'll be able to hear about how Google Meet is enterprise ready, which is probably the salesy part of that show, and get your questions and answered with live Q&A, which I always find is valuable to listen to other people's questions and hear the answers. And they want you to register and complete a form to register for the event. Once registered, you'll receive a calendar invite via email. And if you cannot make it live, you can register, and they will send you a link to the recording. All right. The last one here. That was the penultimate one. Here's the last one here. The Pixel Fold is reportedly coming in June. Now, Google, at this point, I don't know, man. They cannot manage to keep a phone device under secret. And it has to be on purpose because it's so bad. This is not Apple leaving a prototype iPhone 4 at a bar. This is basically, here's all the designs we're thinking about building, go and report on them level. Like, come on. It has most definitely has to be on purpose, and I don't know why, because it gets them good press like this, I suppose. But pretty much their entire Pixel roadmap has been leaked at this point here. And this particular article is talking about the Pixel Fold, which is reportedly coming in June. Most likely we'll have 256 gig storage base, or starting at that. And the name for it, presumably here, is going to be Google Pixel Fold, and it'll come in colors of carbon and porcelain. So again, with Google funky color naming names and schemes and whatnot, it will be available in June. So if you're interested in foldables, then you should go and check it out. I, as an iOS user on mobile, will not be buying this, but it is enticing. It definitely looks nice. And I am definitely a huge fan of where the direction we're going with foldables is. I wish Apple would get on that bandwagon sooner rather than later. Continue moving forward. Steve, you think you're going to get this one, huh?
No, I don't think I will.
No?
I mean, I've seen some people's foldables from Samsung now, and the screens are all messed up after a while.
Yeah, they're not wonderful in that.
So,
maybe they'll give us a peek about it in I/O. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Guess we'll have to wait and see and find out. All right, so wow, that was the most I've talked in an episode like ever. So I'm going to shut up now, and good thing I talk fast. You don't need 2x for my portion of the episode here. So folks, subscribe, review, thumbs up. You know what to do. You've done this before. You've been here before. We appreciate you coming back every week. Tell your friends. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Workspace Recap.